good evening, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Afristream. Today is going to be a special edition of Afristream. This particular tonight's editorial is entitled Haiti, the Real Story. Haiti, the Real Story. It will be brought to you by Sister Imani Karega in Detroit. So we're going to welcome her to the stage and hope you enjoy it. But before we proceed, we would like to wait, where we at? Make sure that if you are watching us on Facebook, please like, comment, share. This is how we community outreach. This is how we let people know what's going on. This is how we communicate. So please like, comment, and share. If you're watching us live on or streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button and the bell so that you can get current notifications. As we begin tonight's editorial, please remember, if there is a word or a story that would you like to tell the community, just reach out and we will make sure we make it happen. Let's get it together. Tonight's piece, Haiti, the Real Story.
What's the deal with Haiti? What keeps Haiti on the verge of utter destruction? With the recent events of Border Patrol agents on horseback herding Haitian immigrants with whips on the southern border, I hear people asking the questions, what's up with Haiti? And why do they always seem to be on the verge of utter destruction? What is the story behind their perpetual state of poverty? Regarding the current events surrounding Haiti, with the political upheaval surrounding the assassination of President Jovenel Moise on July 7th of this year, Haiti News Today reports that as of July 11th, 2021, the Director General of the Haitian National Police confirmed that they have identified a total of 29 individuals suspected to be involved in the assassination of Haiti's president. Of the 29 suspects, the Director General stated that 26 were Colombian nationals, and the other 3 were individuals of Haitian descent. The obvious question here is, what could Colombia gain from the assassination and subsequent destabilization of Haiti? Looking into the relationship between the United States government and Colombia, the U.S. Department of State reports on their relationship as follows. The United States and Colombia share a commitment to promoting security, prosperity, and democratic governance in Colombia and across the Western Hemisphere. Since 2016, the United States has provided more than $1 billion in direct and indirect support to peace implementation. The reason that this is so interesting is that this is how the U.S. has historically influenced the politics of independent nations throughout the Pan-African world, in the motherland Africa, and throughout the African diaspora. By manipulating our own individualism, our oppressors have successfully been able to control our natural resources. They have historically used national and cultural differences as a powerful tool to turn one nation against the other in their ceaseless attempts to control the natural resources of the Pan-African world. So the relationships that the U.S. government has with so many heads of free nations exist only to support the theft of the resources that would make nations such as Haiti truly independent. We see this cultivation of corruption in Haiti, and we see it most markedly in Cuba, which has been successfully fighting against U.S. imperialism for over half a century and has struggled to survive independently despite the international embargoes perpetuated by the U.S. government. We can see in the history of Haiti the same tactics used by France and the United States to control Haiti's production of sugar, but most importantly, to control the call of the revolutionary Holy Spirit, which will not long permit men to endure injustice, nor to wear the shackles of bondage in the rage of the powerless when they struggle to be free. Let's look at the timeline of U.S. and French interventions in the affairs of the independent nation of Haiti. In 1804, under the leadership of Toussaint Louverture and others, Haiti wins its independence from France. 34 years later, in 1838, the Republic of Haiti and France signed a new treaty of peace, giving Haiti a further extension on its negotiated 1825 debt to its former colonizers. The website Bahamianology reports that Haiti had been well on its way to paying 150 million francs, which is worth over $26.5 million today, which France demanded as reparations for their loss of land and property, including slaves and sugar plantations, and in return for a writ required to achieve international recognition of Haiti's independence. In 1862, after 58 years, the U.S. finally recognizes Haiti's independence. It takes this long because the U.S. does not want to allow the knowledge of a successful slave revolt to undermine the stability of its slave-holding states. They were petrified of the influence that it would have on the slaves' natural desires for freedom and self-determination. In 1868, President Andrew Johnson proposes annexing Haiti as a naval base, negating their sovereignty as a free nation. Coincidentally, Abe Lincoln paid Union slave owners $300 for every freed slave. In 1914, President Wilson sends Marines into Haiti to take control of the Haitian National Bank. They steal $500,000, which in today's value would be over $13 million, for safekeeping. From 1915 to 1934, the U.S. occupied Haiti. In 1915, 330 U.S. Marines began a military occupation, installing puppet leaders and running Haiti as a military dictatorship until August of 1934. In 1917, the U.S. dissolved the Haitian legislature, allowing for foreign ownership of land. Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, claimed that he wrote their new constitution. He also claimed that the U.S. was running enough countries in Central America to have 12 votes in the League of Nations, including Haiti. 1994 to 1997, U.S. occupies Haiti after President Jean-Bertrand Aristide returns from forced exile in 1991 after being elected to office with 67% of the popular vote. Aristide was re-elected to office in 2004 with 92% of the popular vote. He was taken by the U.S. and presumably CIA-backed Haitian military and exiled to South Africa. The Haitian military and Haitian National Intelligence Service was set up and founded by the CIA in the 1980s. Both were key players in the coups against Aristide. In the context of 217 years of systematic U.S. and French social, political, and financial destabilization of Haiti's sovereignty, along with the European financial, political, and technological domination of virtually every other independent nation in the Pan-African world, we can see the overwhelming demand for the throwing off of the individualistic, money-worshipping, slave mentality that has kept us in an international Pan-African state of oppression, brutality, and exploitation. Looking at the current state of affairs in Haiti, Cuba, and Jamaica, we see a continuation of U.S. efforts to maintain their destabilization today. In June of 2015, ProPublica and National Public Radio reported on the diversion of international donations to Haiti after the earthquake of 2010. They describe it thusly. When a devastating earthquake leveled Haiti in 2010, millions of people donated to the American Red Cross. The charity raised over $500 million. It was one of the most successful fundraising efforts ever. The American Red Cross vowed to help the Haitians rebuild, but after 5 years, the Red Cross's legacy in Haiti is not new roads or schools or homes. It's difficult to know where the money went. Even the then Prime Minister will tell you they don't have any idea. Revisiting the news reports surrounding the July 7, 2021 reports on the assassination of President Jovenel Moise, PBS NewsHour reported the following. At the scene, the presidential palace, someone says the assassins are with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. The U.S. Ambassador, Bachet Edmond, disagrees and says the DEA was not involved. Instead, he blamed mercenaries that spoke English and Spanish. Journalist Yamiche Alcindor reports that Haitian human rights activists opposed the U.S. backing Moise. On August 25, 2021, UN News reported the 7.2 magnitude earthquake on August 14, 2021, killed more than 2,200 people and injured over 12,000 others. More than 130,000 homes were destroyed or damaged, along with other infrastructures such as roads. The tragedy was followed by a tropical storm, Grace, just 2 days later, causing flash floods and mudslides. Nearly 53,000 buildings collapsed, while another 77,000 were severely damaged. A surge in gang-related violence has displaced roughly 19,000 people in areas near the Haitian capital, which has made it difficult to reach the areas affected by the earthquake. In his October 2021 New York Times article, in their words, Haitian Immigrants in New York, Pierre-Antoine Louis quoted a Haitian national who reports, in Haiti, it's a struggle every day. Even some of the things as simple as going to the grocery store, going to the bank, going to the gas station can be complicated, with the kidnapping that can happen at any time to anyone. Another person reports, you could get killed by a bullet from nowhere when you are in Haiti, even inside your home. They kidnap everybody, rich or poor, another reports. Arriving in Colombia was the beginning of hell. I was exposed to all kinds of danger. Some people had worse experiences than me, like men watching thieves rape their wives. Dealing with all these bad experiences and arriving in Texas to face deportation is worse than death. With the U.S. and France's attacks on the political, financial, cultural, and social sovereignty of Haiti over the past 217 years, the question is most definitely not, what is the problem with Haiti? But rather, how can a Pan-Africanist worldview overcome the problems in Haiti and throughout the Pan-African world?
That was a the editorial by Imani Karega. I thank you for listening and watching, and hopefully you have now a more clear Pan African perspective. See you next time. Have a blessed day.